Hello, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're all well. Hopefully, got a few technical glitches and issues this morning. I can't really see the chat, so I can sort of look over here for the chat, but I can't see the chat over here. So I think it's good morning to Alison and Ben and Aaron. Great to see you guys. Awesome to have you guys on this morning. Children, hey? Children. My children used my studio. They took my television and watched the State of Origin the other day. I haven't been in my home studio for a couple of weeks, and the thing's a mess. Nothing's set up properly. Children. Morning, Marcus. I think I can see Marcus over there, and a few people jumping on this morning. Hey, great to see you guys. Fantastic to have you on this morning. I'll try and keep this moving this morning. I'm running a bit late. I'll be back in a second. Trying to see if we can not be too bright and washed out. But anyway, we can have a bit of a chat, a yarn this morning. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Great to see a bunch of you guys on this morning. Been out and about the last couple of days, catching up with my crew up in Brisbane. So I wasn't on the morning Wealth Coffee Chats. Didn't fit into the schedule, unfortunately. I'm not quite used to travelling again, getting out and about. So lesson learned. I'll make sure that I fix up my my schedule so I can get my Wealth Coffee Chats done in the morning, hang out with you guys. Hope you're all awesome and well, wherever you are, whatever you're up to. Hopefully everyone in Sydney or thereabouts is staying safe and not too wet and washed away. Anyone who's new, if you are new, say hello in the chat. Give us a shout out. I can see it over there. And Imral's there. But yeah, I can't read it from here. Need the glasses these days. Give us a shout out in the chat. Say, let us know where you're from, what you're up to. Just a quick bit of background if you are new. This Wealth Coffee Chat's been going about 2 years now. I think we're up to 300 episodes. 300 episodes of the Wealth Coffee Chat morning. So good work, team. And get together each morning, try and make sense of this weird and wonderful thing that we're up to, which is property investing. We're a different breed of people. Property investors who are interested in going the distance, buying good quality real estate and keeping it for a long time. And, there's plenty of headwinds. There's plenty of media mania out there that you have to navigate as a property investor. And this morning, I'm going to talk about one that I think is important for us to sort of, understand and make sure we don't overreact on. I can see the chat now. I've got a bit of something going on. Hey, morning Sophie, morning Sharon. Great to see you guys on. So tell me in the chat. I can see it. Tell me in the chat, what has been the rhetoric of recent times when it's come to the world of construction, and specifically house construction, ladies and gents, building houses, freestanding houses. Tell me in the chat what's the rhetoric of recent times in and around this stuff. Morning. Am I frozen there? Bryce says I'm frozen, but I think I'm still moving around, Bryce. Maybe it could be at your end. Tell me right now in the chat, what has been labour shortages? Yep, Marcus, yep, labour shortages. Ultimately, delays, companies going bust, yep, for sure. High material costs, etc., right? So, this has been a little bit of a theme of recent times. Unable to quote accurately, material costs just all over the place. Increased construction costs, companies going broke, and certainly something like this, if you're in the middle of building a house, doing a renovation, trying to get something constructed, is a real problem for a lot of builders and a lot of people, let's face it, who trying to get their homes built, their houses built. And certainly it's been, the flow on smaller land sizes. Yep, I think that, Chriso, that's kind of a function of the process of trying to keep property prices affordable for people, certainly too. So there's been some uncertainty, some problems, some challenges for the world of construction. And it certainly started, well, we could see it coming when the COVID world had a little show up on the radar. COVID showed up on the world's radar, and the government pulled out one trick it knows. It usually only knows one trick, the Australian government, unfortunately, in this moment in time, which is stimulate the Australian economy by building things, and mostly houses, right? So that's where the money went, or a lot of money went. So, money went to JobKeeper and other bits and pieces. But what happened? Let's have a bit of a look. Now, you can't see this other chart right here, ladies and gents, but I'm gonna track it for you now. This is an overlay right now of housing approvals, all right? And this yellow one, which I'm sort of tracking, which you can't see, unfortunately. There's something going weird with my oh, you can't even see that. Something going weird with my studio and my cameras today, but we'll work it out together. We'll work it out together. You'll get the point in a second anyway. All right. Yeah, shivers. That's not even... Oh, well, you can kind of see that. Let me know in the chat if you can see it. It's okay. The black bars here are the world of housing. They're the world of housing. The black bars are the world of housing. And the other one, which is meant to be purple and or yellow, let me know in the chat if you can see that okay, that line, is the world of apartments, okay? Multi-dwelling, which includes townhouses and apartments, as we go. Now, if you guys have a look at this, this is 2018. 2018, that's 2018, folks. We have seen from around about 2017-18, the world of apartments and houses ever so slightly reduce in supply. What these are building approvals, okay? Building approvals. Now tell me, and the reason I look at building approvals, not buildings under construction, and that can be for another day, let's say. Building approvals, they are something that we will see into the future. Everyone cool with that? This is something we'll see into the future. Now, tell me right now, on average, let's say just in basic terms, ladies and gents, how long does it take to produce a house? Okay, let's say we could start constructing today. Put that in the chat for me. Now, of recent times, of right now, it's a bit hit and miss, but on average, does anyone know how long it used to take on average to build a house from scratch? Starting today, not waiting for the land to register or anything like that. Put that in the chat for me, all right? Okay. That is dead right, Luke. Doesn't mean they're going to move to construction phase, and that's another thing we're going to chat about. Yeah. So at the moment, Chriso, yeah, you're right. It's sort of taking 12 to 18 months. Back in the old days, it used to take anywhere between 6 to 9 months to deliver a house, okay? So if we have a look here, ladies and gents, around this time, 6 to 9 months, the housing supply was approvals and or starts in construction were pretty low, and so too were apartments. The approvals and construction pretty low, okay? So there wasn't as much work around. The labour construction work around was pretty even. There was enough people around to keep the price okay and the speed of delivery up, okay? Along comes, 2020, March 2020, and the government says, let's stimulate the economy. And we've been travelling along for, a good chunk of time, let's say, at least 2 years, where, the world had sort of settled into a good pattern. Enough builders, enough supply, enough pricing, we were pretty solid. And that was a great time, to be honest, to be in the world of building a house or anything. Along comes COVID, and what happens? So let's say this is our mean, this is our average. The number of houses to be built, because this is approvals, a leading measure. The number of houses to be built, so land sold, quoted up, constructed, goes up 40%. Goes up 40%, okay? Goes up 40%, folks. Now this approval, these are approvals. Now you can see late 21 and into early 22 that the approvals and the mass amount of, like, huge amounts of sales and new buildings it was over, right? The big glut had moved through, okay? But this was, let's say, 2022 over here, okay? Now what happens at the end of 2021, so you can see here, team, this is the middle. We want to get 6 months in. At the end of 2021 and the start of 22, what has to happen? They all have to start being built, okay? And this is where we're seeing, literally, what we're seeing here, team, is we're seeing a 12 months of a temporary spike in construction demand. Okay, 12 months. It's not continuing forever. It went up and went down with the stimulus. Okay, so what else happened? Tell me in the chat right now. What else happened last year? Did it happen last year or the beginning of this year? Sometimes I'm getting a bit of the time frames mixed up. That has really disrupted two major things that have disrupted supply chains around the world. I'll jump in and tell you. Tell me in the chat if you want to. The war in Ukraine and the COVID lockdowns and restrictions out of China. Okay, those are two major things. There's many other things going on. Fires took out like all the wood, didn't they, Sharon? You know, the timber supply, okay? Less timber around and so on. So we had supply issues, really, at the end of the day. Two major things, and there's many other things. So we're now having this glut of construction travel through for delivery, folks. It has to be delivered, it has to be built. And this is where we're finding, and of recent times, this is where we've found some challenges for the marketplace. 40% more buildings to build. We don't have 40% more people in the country to build them. And at the same time, wars, fires, and supply constraint issues. Okay, will it last forever? The answer is no. It's not going to last forever. Feels like it, okay, but it's not going to last forever. What we're seeing right now, so new approvals back down here. New approvals for freestanding houses back down, okay? So it's now just going to take this chunk to move through the pipeline to see where we land, okay? We're already starting to see, we've already started to see builders and some freestanding house builders come back to 16 and 20 week fixed price commitments on their, or fixed time commitments, not price, fixed time commitments on building a house. Okay, we haven't seen that for 12 months, okay, in the marketplace. Talking to a couple of the builders that we work with. In the process of building a house, usually the first part of the house is putting down the slab after you've cleaned up the land and whatever. But the first big chunk is like, let's pour some concrete, all right? You've got to put the slab down. Some of the builders we're working with have seen the first price reductions on putting slabs down for houses that they have seen in over 12 months. And the concreters calling them back going, hey, we don't have a lot of work. We don't have a lot of work. You got anything going on? So that's the early stage call here. All right. So depending on the supply constraints around the world is something we can't predict, but you would think it would flow through over the next 12, 18 months. Right now we're seeing the first parts of the labour pressures in here potentially lessen in the world of construction. Okay? What does that all mean? Well, really at the end of the day, team, let's say something broad. Future shocks in the construction world should be less and less and less from here on in. I'm calling it, I always call it early, the worst undersupply Australia's ever seen. If we didn't have COVID and this issue here where they stimulated the economy, you have a look at the world of apartments, medium density dwellings right now. Still, you have a look. It's the worst it's been for over 20 years, and population adjusted. So, when you go back here and you think, oh, it was pretty high over there and over here, if we're 7 million people more than we were, so get this, 7 million people more than we were 2 decades ago, 7 million more, but it's the same number as it was 2 decades ago. The percentage is ludicrous, ladies and gents. The new construction game is in all sorts. The housing is in all sorts because of one reason, and the multi-unit density stuff is in all sorts because of another reason, okay? They're not exactly the same because building a single house is different to building a multi-density property. And if you build above like 3 stories or 2 stories, you need other licenses and so on. I won't go into that. They're not being affected as much as these ones because these are kind of turnover. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Again, units down the toilet, houses coming through. And it's fake supply. Tell me, this is a really good thing. Is this supply here, let's say we've had a record, so we've got a record housing supply coming through. So let's say these houses, 150,000 houses get built. Looks like I've frozen there for a second. Tell me, am I still there? Am I still there, ladies and gents? Let me know in the chat if I'm still there or I've just frozen and everything's blown up. Let's see. All right. No, I'm still there. All right. So, my chat's disappeared and everything. Anyway, let me know in the chat if you're still there, ladies and gents. I don't know what happened. Back again. I'm having a shocker today. Anyway, what were we talking about? See this here, this supply, tell me, is, let's say 100,000 houses coming to the market, is that going to go into the rental pool? Like, who are these houses going to? By and large, the majority. Tell me in the chat. Tell me that one in the chat right now. Who's it going to? So this increase in supposed construction and supply, is it real supply? Is it supply to the rental market? Is it supply to the market for new buyers? Is it supply coming through that's going to hit the market, be sold? Yeah, boom. Look, it's owner-occupiers. Folks, it's the majority of people who were, they're 4 friends living in a house together. One of those friends could afford to buy a home, so they went and did it. Now, there's 3 people still living in that rental property. It's not like it's vacant anymore. That's bullshit. I've heard that story. Oh, all these people, what a bunch of rubbish. And now all these new houses, they're not vacant, available for the rental market. It's just an owner-occupier moving in. So, you know, it's a really interesting story when you dive into the stats of this stuff, folks. Anyway, there you go. A little bit of a bitsy, technically disrupted Wealth Coffee chat today. But we shall see. It was first home buyers, owner occupiers. Yeah, there you go. All right, team. Great to hang out with you. Thanks for joining us. I'll get my mojo back on next week. We'll have a whole week of uninterrupted Wealth Coffee chats. Back in my studio, back at my house, back in my regular everyday programming, folks. And we'll hang out and do it again. All right, that's it. I'm rambling on. You guys be awesome. Be well. Join me next week for another Wealth Coffee chat, Monday, 8:10. See you then, folks. Bye-bye.